Hello, this is Arnell Tanyag with Tanyag Company. We're a business advising consulting firm. We specialize in results-driven consulting for small businesses by inspiring them to double their income and grow their business while creating an ideal lifestyle. Today, I'm going to be giving out the topic for the first Friday. It's a workshop that I do the first Friday of the month for people in the residential real estate industry. We have realtors, mortgage people, P&C agents, sometimes commercial real estate agents, sometimes service-based businesses, contractors, home inspectors. They come by the first Friday of the month to learn how to work on their business. So today the topic is going to be 3 things you don't want to hear about time management for business growth. Again, 3 things you don't want to hear about time management for business growth. So let me just share a story. I was an employee all my life since 20 years ago. I worked as a sous chef, a pizza delivery driver, dishwasher, did some dishes, maintenance guy at Ocean Breeze Park, and eventually McDonald's. I think a lot of people worked in fast food when they're growing up. Even I was a 10-year weekend warrior, combat medic, 8404, stationed with amphibious assault unit vehicles, Marines, offshore drive, and I did that for 10 years, and I even went to Desert Storm. So what does this tell you about my time management skills and processes? I had none. I was told what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. No flexibility. I was under someone else's time management. Had no calendar. All my stuff was in my head. When you're an employee working for somebody, they don't teach you time management. You just show up, get off, and basically you just got to remember your schedule. Hey, who can relate to that? Raise your hand. Who can relate to that? Most people don't wake up and say, I want to start a business, go in sales. From my experience, most of the people I know who have started their businesses or became independent contractors were actually worked for somebody. And secondly, here's the other thing. I'm Filipino and Asian. Our parents didn't teach us time management skills and processes. And most Filipinos, are late. Not just late, early late. Not even fashionable late, like 5 minutes, like 30 minutes late. It's a cultural thing. As much as I love my parents, I was not taught about time management or even the basis to manage life or even go into business. So I even became in 1997, I was an RN, graduated RN school, and then worked for a year or two. And I wanted to leave nursing and pursue a business. I was working full-time as an RN on the weekends and transitioned to full-time business when I was transitioned as the area director of BNI. What do you think about my time management skills? I will tell you, it was difficult. Working as an employee and transition to a full-time commission sales, time management was very difficult because they would tell me to basically work these days and hours, and then I had to go in through like Monday through Friday and generate business. So when I first started out, there was really not much of a time management. I mean, I felt like I was on a treadmill, on a hamster. You can see a hamster running all the time, and the wheels spinning. And over the last 20 years, once I transitioned out of nursing full time, I was able to take a bunch of classes, a bunch of workshops, and I learned time management from different mentors. So let me share what I've learned over the last 20 years, which I believe would help you. When I first started out in time management, what most people usually do is we have a notepad of paper and you write down your schedule. That's what usually people do. Or they have it in their head. I got it in my head, Arnold. I got it on paper. And now today people have it on their phone. And so I went to that, and I went to a pretty calendar, one of those books where you buy from Office Max and Depot. And typically the books are broken down into 2 types of books. A book where you have a yearly calendar, monthly calendar, and then a daily one. And again, yearly, monthly, and weekly. So I tried that out, and that didn't work that well. Then somebody introduced me to Google Calendar and did it for pretty for a while. You can color code there. And then eventually I switched to Office 365 that I've been using that, and that's where I keep my calendar now. I always tell people, it's funny, I work with a lot of business owners, independent contractors, and I usually ask them, if you have an Apple phone, yeah. How do you keep a calendar? He goes, oh, I keep it on my Apple phone. How effective is it? It really isn't, because the simple Apple calendar is not really designed for growth. It's really just designed for just an everyday person using the calendar, but it's not actually very effective for setting up process and systems. So even if you have the right tools, I mean, there's so many tools right now that you can actually use in managing time. The question is I had to learn the how and the why. What that means is I need to figure out why I want to control my time or manage my time, and how do I want to do that. And I realized if I did not know that, I'll never ever grow a business. I'll be able to I'll be able to basically make my income, but I won't be able to grow my business, so my income will stall, and then I won't have a lot of time to spend with my wife and my kids, and then eventually the business will own me. I'll be on a treadmill. My picture that you see yourself like a hamster on a treadmill on that wheel, or you see yourself at like Planet Fitness and you're on that treadmill, you just can't get off. And eventually what you do is you get tired, you get burnt out, or you go into what we call quiet desperation, where you're just basically desperate. You know you should get off, but you're so desperate you don't know what to change. And I've actually experienced that myself in my last 20 years. I've actually seen a lot of people go through that. The key to this is when you are constantly growing, you're always going to be tweaking your time management. So the bottom line, the basic bottom line of this whole talk, if you don't figure out how to manage your time, your business will not grow. It will stop growing. You'll stop growing. Eventually, you won't be in business, or if you are, you're in a business where you're barely making a little to no money, and it just owns you. You become a burden and a slave to it. And I see a lot of people like that where they're not managing their time, but they don't want to work for anybody else, but they can't grow their business. And a lot of it has to do with time management and how do you see it, why do you do it, what has to happen, why things need to change. So let me survey the room. Who here are employees or subcontractors? If you're an employee or subcontractors, if you have employees or subcontractors, you have 1 to 3 employees, 1 to 3 subcontractors, 4 to 10, 11 or more. There's different time management strategies and tactics you use. Like I have several companies that do over $1 million in revenue, and a lot of times the time management strategies for my business owners who do $1 million and above is have somebody who is an office manager or a vice president of operation that runs a buffer for them, meaning that they run a lot of the operations businesses, but the owner is focusing on the big picture, which is vision, figuring out ways to bring in new business, but they have actually other people there. If you're a business owner of 1 or 2 employees, a lot of times you're doing sales. It all depends. I mean, time management varies between I call the milestones of your business, how big or how small and how many employees you have and what tasks you do. So what I do is I want to be passing out a blank calendar. I have copies of it, and so I wanted to ask you this question: is what is on your calendar now? When I look at people's schedules, when we have this class called the Double Your Income in 90 Days or Less, it's over a 4-month period, and we look at their calendar, and most people's calendar usually has a couple appointments with one-to-ones with networking meetings, appointments with sales appointments, very rare appointments on developing new business, very rare appointments scheduling time with their family, very rare appointments working on their business. So what they usually end up happening is the schedule has a lot of openings, but very little purpose on scheduling things in their calendar or events that actually can help them grow their business. And a lot of times when I work with people, it doesn't matter if they're startup, been around 2 or 3 years, is get that schedule into a place where it becomes a repeatable process and it grows. Because what you'll find out is, in all the companies I've helped grow, is the owner drives the schedule and has the non-negotiable negotiables. And when their schedule is really tight, that becomes their dashboard of activity. When they don't have the schedule, they get overwhelmed, shut down, or forget what to do, or live in what they call in the day of the moment of the day, or urgency. So what I'm going to do today is share you the 3 things that you don't want to hear about time management for business growth. You might have heard this or you might not, but these are the 3 things that I've seen over especially the last 10 years on how to help companies grow. And if you can apply any of these into your business right now today, you literally will be able to grow your business and have time management skills that just go above and beyond what most people think. So the first thing you want to talk about, the first thing you need to know that you don't want to hear is time management is all about energy management. There's not enough time in the day. But the key is if you know you're working long hours, or for example, you want to be home 2 days out of the week by 5 because you want to spend time with your kids or have a date night, then the Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, you'll be working long hours, but you want to get everything done. So it's all about how you manage your energy and how effective and efficient it is. Like physical energy, there's physical energy, mental energy, spiritual energy, and emotional energy. And really briefly, in my notes, if you email me or you put a comment down there, I will send you my notes. And basically, and then I have links to different videos and posts and articles you can read. But physical energy, are you eating right? Are you meal prepped? Are you meal planning? Are you drinking a lot of water? Are you sleeping? I mean, energy, there's two types of energies that you have to be paid attention to. It's physical energy and spiritual energy. And all the clients we work with, we have them take an energy profile. And almost 95% of the people lack physical energy. Physical energy be fully engaged. It's very rare I've met maybe 1 to 2 people out of a couple hundred that have a high full engagement physical energy. Emotional energy is how you handle your emotions. And it talks about that the way to handle your emotions is show appreciation and generosity, and then learn how to relax when you're stressed out. It's learn how you are wired emotionally and learn how to prevent yourself from losing your emotions. Mental energy is how do you have the mental energy to do what you do. Well, one of the things that was talking about is you want to schedule times where you don't look at your emails. You don't look at them every day you wake up. You schedule time to look at them. You return calls. You get away from distractions. And then the other thing with mental energy that people don't realize, you should exercise. Exercise increases your mental fortitude, your mental strength. Because every time you go and exercise, you accomplish a simple goal. Mentally it tells you, man, I'm doing a great job. I can do it. And then you take that I can do it from exercising into your business. And the last one is spiritual energy. Is where you have a vision and written goals to achieve them. You know your strengths, where you enjoy most of the business, and you're focused on following your inspiration, not just living in the moment or being motivated. You have to be inspired to grow. So it talks about that energy. So if you can really manage your energy, doesn't matter how long your hours are, it does matter that you'll get things done fully engaged. They say the average person right now is probably 30% engaged in life at work or in business. And if you can just increase your engagement to like 70, 80% or more, which means you're fully engaged, you'll get a lot out of life. And time management is not even managing time. It's really making a choice on how you attack time. Thing number 2 that most people don't want to hear about time management for business growth is be a steward of your time, not a victim. A steward of your time basically means you're a master of your time, not the other way around. You make time your priority. You're not swayed to make time for somebody else. So here's a couple tips on how you become a steward of your time. Number 1, know that you make the rules for your business, not anyone else. Basically means is you're the rule maker, not the rule follower. Basically, it means is that when you're scheduling time, do it for your benefit, not for other benefit. Like, give an example. I tell people when I meet with people, I tell my clients is you schedule your time blocks. We can meet people networking, and you have them come there. If they can't come there, don't go to them. Now, there's always certain exceptions. If this is a person who's highly influential or respected community, you may have to go to them. But if they're not in that category, they come to you. If they don't want to come to you, you move on. Well, people are like, wow, I don't know, Arnell, I might lose the business and all that. It's not worth it. My former partner used to say to me, Arnell, you need to inconvenience people. Have them come meet you at the same location, same time for an hour. Let people come to you versus you come to them. And we used to call it stack days, networking stack days, where we sit down in one place, have meetings for about an hour, and people would back to back. And I do 6 or 7 meetings. I mean, I wanted to make the rules work for me. Tip number 2, learn to say no and what to say no to, and start today. A lot of times people are not good stewards of time because they don't know what to say no to. They feel obligated to help people. Just learn to say no. I mean, I was listening to a webinar by Mike Mayer, and he was saying, look, there's no reason to network people if you're networking with people who don't have any goals, who are always whining and complaining, who are not focused, because they're going to take you down or rely on you. You need to be networking with people who you look up to, you admire, you respect, because those people have something that's going on. I was like, wow. So I've learned is like I don't go to every networking event like I used to. I say no to those things. I'm very strategic in which ones I pick. I'll go to the ones that are in my target market, or I'll go to ones with my clients. And the only exception if I go out of that is a client and I are going to check out a networking group and see what it is. But I'm not going to go to network. I'm going to go and figure out events and activities that work for my business or my client's business, and we do it together. Because I've learned what to say no. It's hard because if you learn how to say no and what to say no to, then you will literally have more time. Tip number 3, you need to go ahead and outsource, hire, and delegate. One of the hardest things when people start a business, they want to do their books. They want to, I want to do my books, I want to do my accounting, or I want to, I basically want to do this admin work. And I tell people, look, if you can, outsource, hire, and delegate. Especially if you're 80 to 100% operation capacity, that you're doing all the work yourself for a treadmill, you really need to go ahead and outsource, hire, and delegate as soon as possible. I've seen companies double their revenue when they bring in somebody either administrative-wise to take care of the stuff the owner does, or operational-wise, because then the owner can focus on bringing in new business or increase their capacity to sell more. Tip number 3, build your calendar on the basis of the belief by Stephen Covey, which is big rocks versus little rocks, put things first. He's basically saying that when you schedule your schedule, you pick the most important things in your life. Like for example, for me, is I have a date night once a week with my wife. We schedule it because she works nights. So we pick one day a week, and then I have to be home by 5. And I have it on a process map that reminds me, and there's certain things I have to do. But that's really important to me because, when we don't have date nights, we fight. And when you're an owner and you're married and your wife fights, sometimes you can't focus. I can't focus. So we have the date night, and I have my kids' night. And it works really well. It actually is very beneficial. But he says is put the big rocks, what's very important. So family first, my time with God. Well, actually time with God, family first, and then looking at the business and looking at what I need to do in the business. Then everything else fits in there. And the biggest challenge is when people don't build their calendar based on these premises. What happens is then they're controlled by everyone else. And when you are building a business and growing for business growth, you have to begin to be the master of your time, not be a follower of time. And it basically means you're just agreeing to everybody and you're getting pushed and pulled and you can't really focus. You're living in the day-to-day, in the grind of the urgent. The next tip is build your lifestyle around your business. Look at your business model, see if it supports the ideal lifestyle. When I sit down with people, I find out their business model doesn't support the lifestyle they want. Meaning that, I'll give you an example, they're not charging enough. So if they're not charging enough, how can they really get more, how can they get more time? I find a lot of people are not charging enough. Another thing too is they don't have a business model. They don't have a business model that's scalable, meaning they don't have a service or product that can be done without them. So a lot of times what you have to really do is look at the business model. Like a lot of the realtors I work with, I encourage them, say, let's become a listing agent. Let's grow our listings, because if we can grow our listings, we can control our business for a lifetime, because listings are king. And doing the buyer's type of business, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you'll burn out. I mean, it's a good income, but it will wear you out. I was talking to a client like that recently. I said, look, we just need to really look at building your listings, keep doing what we're doing in production, but really focus on the listing. He agreed because he just did 7 transactions this month. He goes, I know, I'm tired. I know, let's take it as it is, and we need to really reshift your business model. The other tip is start time blocking with color coding and focus on developing rituals for you and your business. So what does that mean? You start time blocking. You block certain things in your calendar. It's really important. Color code, like in my calendar, if you ever look at my calendar, there's a color called red. It's called service conversations. That's basically sales appointments. So when I'm looking at my schedule, I can look at how many sales appointments I have. So if I wanted to have 2 sales appointments a week, I can just look glimpse at my calendar and see 2 red blocks. And that basically tells me that I literally have 2 sales appointments. So you want to basically be able to start, time blocking. Like first appointments, I time block like purple, and then orange for like business development time, calls. I just time. So if I'm looking briefly at my schedule, I can look at the color code and it reminds me. But developing rituals, you'd be amazed that there are certain things we do over and over again, and it's a ritual. So like, for example, a ritual for me, when I go into a networking event, a ritual for me is I look at, okay, what do I want to accomplish out of this? I pray beforehand. I have my cards. I know what I'm going to ask to speak, and then I know what to follow up, and I review it over and over again just to make sure I have the process. And then when I finish, I go to my office, put my notes in the CRM, and then put in my whiteboard who I'm going to send thank you notes and what the follow-up steps are. So that's the things that I do. It's a ritual. And then the last tip that I really believe that you have to do is pay someone to assess your calendar and help you become a steward of your time. Like, give you an example. I had a client come to me like 6-7 years ago. She's a chiropractor who bought an existing practice. And the practice had a massage component and a chiropractor component. She was so overwhelmed. She goes, Arnell, I am overwhelmed. So we sat down, looked at her goals and objectives she wanted to accomplish the next 90 days and the end of the year, looked at her personal schedule, looked at the office schedule, and ideally built the schedule around what would make her be more productive and effective. So we rearranged her schedule that worked for her, and that gave her peace of mind. Because sometimes when you're in the thick of things, you can't see your blind spots. All you see is you're in the thick of chaos, or being overwhelmed, or just frustrated. So we sat down, looked at everything, looked at her goals, objectives, figured out what days she wanted to work in the business, what days she wanted to be off, how to structure it. It took her about a month to move clients in the slot, and she was willing to lose some clients because she could replace it. Because at the end of the day, sometimes you can't see why you're stuck in your schedule and why you're becoming more a victim, because you really have to pay somebody to have them look at that and allow you to be free being trapped, but it also allows you to control your time. And this number 3 thing that most people have to do that they don't want to hear about time management for growth, business growth, is spend your time in the highest and best use categories. So, in business, what does that mean? As a business owner, independent sales rep, or a sales commission rep, or salary plus commission, spend your time in the highest and best use category. In my opinion, there are 3 types of categories that you want to spend your time that most business owners don't do as often. The most successful ones I know that do. Number 1, schedule time taking care of yourself. Schedule time to work out, schedule time to have your kids, and time with your spouse and everything other. But also schedule white time. White time is time in your schedule that is basically cleared up, that you can do whatever you want to do. And the amazing thing about white time that I like about it is it could be for you to watch a movie. It could be you to take a nap. It could be you where you have an opportunity to sit down with a person who double your business. White time is just unfiltered time. It's time that you own but you choose. A lot of people, when they build their business, when they first start, they have a lot of white time because they really haven't figured out how to structure their time. And then once they put the time blocks, they don't have any white time. So I recommend people to have at least 3 to 4 hours of white time or more, or maybe an hour or 2 a day, because white time allows you to feel and think that you control time, because you do. Because you can choose watch a movie, you can choose to have a nap, or you can choose to go meet with somebody. But it's good to have white time. The second thing you want to do and spend your time in the highest best use category is spend time working on your business. Block out anywhere from 2 to 4 hours or more a month working on your business. A lot of the clients pay my company, so we spend a lot of time, anywhere from 2 to 6 hours a month working on their business, meaning that they'll meet with me probably on 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. Then you spend about 2 to 4 hours by themselves, where they work on the business. And that what they do is they focus on the important. They focus not on the urgent. Urgent is what keeps you trapped in the day-to-day. They focus on the important activities that move their business forward, meaning it grows their business and literally gives them the time. Like, for example, I have a client right now who literally has hired a third doctor. She's a chiropractor. She has her husband came on board about, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, and now she's hired a third chiropractor. And with that, that's going to free her pro time to grow the business. I mean, I very rare do I see any practices in Hampton Road that has 3 chiropractors. She literally has brought a third one. The gentleman has moved from New York to start practice in July. It's amazing. But we've been working on this project for almost a year. It's almost a year. We've been talking about it, but we've been working on it. I was even in the interview process helping her pick the right person. So it was amazing. Because what you want to do is you want to schedule work on your business. That's when you're planning your preparation. You're looking at the future. How can I get what I want from my business? How can I get the time and money? What do I have to do to move forward? Most successful companies grow really fast and quick when they spend 2 to 4 or more hours a month thinking strategically, focusing on the future. A lot of us today spend too much time just living in the day. Living in the day basically means you're just living today to make money. When you're focusing on working your business, you're living to build a future for yourself, your family, your community, and your business becomes something not that earns money for you. It gives money to the people it works for you, and it becomes a living, breathing organization that you're proud of because it's sustaining the community. In the last category, you need to spend at least 4 to 6 hours focusing on bringing new business or growing your business, especially if you are the person responsible in growing. I mean, you could have a couple salespeople doing this and that, and I tell people, but still, you should go out there and get the business more because you're an owner. There's something about owners going and getting business. There's something about owners now. It doesn't mean you want to hire a bunch of salespeople to do that, and that can happen. But if you are the owner driving the business for growth, bringing in more sales, and I have some business owners say, well, I don't want to do that. And I said, well, you can drive the business, bring in 4 to 6 hours of sales. You can hire a salesperson, you can hire a business development person, but you need to be scheduling time to make sure that you or someone in the business is doing 4 or 6 hours or more in business development, or you spending time figuring out how do I grow this business to the next level, because you're the driver of that business. So those categories, again, scheduling for yourself, scheduling to work on your business, and scheduling on focus on bringing in business. Those are the categories that you need to spend your time, highest and best use. And all the clients I work on, until they can build an established business where, number one, the rainmaking, where they don't have to bring in the business in, the business does that. And then all they really have to focus on is taking care of themselves and then working on the business so they can replace the operations. They can replace the rainmaker or business development. They can basically replace the administration. I mean, basically, they really get into that true box as a business owner because they've been working really hard to replace them in all the elements of the business, like business operation, delivery, employee satisfaction, customer satisfaction. I mean, all they're really doing is just giving vision. And some of the business owners I work with are still operating in the business, but that's because they enjoy it, but they don't have to. It's more of I want to versus a need. And the bottom line is this: if you know after listening to this workshop or this video, if you don't figure out how to manage your time, your business will not grow, or it will stop growing. And then basically what happens is you're going to run out of time. Because I see a lot of business owners, the years I've been doing this, is that's the one thing, once we get their time management set up, where they know spend the highest best use of your time. They know how to manage their energy. They know they're a steward of their time. They're not a victim. And their business will double and grow. And then they just get better and better at each time because it's a skill. It's skills, it's a skill, it's a process, and they have ownership and they have control over it versus they feel like they don't know what's going on. So at the end of the day, you just have to decide if you apply any of these three things that I mentioned, I guarantee your business will double. If you don't, God forbid that you don't, because I see a lot of people who don't do this, and two things happen. They, again, basically get out of the business, or they're in quiet desperation, or the business will cease to exist. Again, this is Arnell Tanyag Company. Thanks again for listening to this video on the three things you don't want to hear about time management for business growth. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me on 757-752-8169. Again, this is Arnell Tanyag Company. Thanks again.